Hello, how are you? In this video, I'll be drawing a very pink illustration, probably the pinkest illustration from my new era. I will get into that later, okay? So for this, I did a concept in my sketchbook in a short video a while back, I don't know when, and I decided to do a very big pro illustration, and I had to make a little outline. So for this whole illustration, my inspiration was Marina's Hello Kitty, which I've been obsessed with that song. People either love or hate it, there is no in between, and usually I end up seeing people only hating on it and skipping it, which is very unfortunate. My own Hello Kitty plushies and roses, of course. I grabbed my Hello Kitties and I decided to use certain elements from them in my own design. So, for example, I decided to use the heart pocket and the overalls from the first Hello Kitty, which I've had since 2009, and I'm feeling very old. Also, the checkered pattern and the bow, of course, right? Hello Kitty has one bow. And from the other two, I decided to use the lace on top. Their designs are simpler, probably knockoffs. In the whole thing from them all, I decided to use their checkered pattern, but only for certain parts. So I made a concept for the character. Okay, so a while back, I made this little sketch. When was it? I have no idea. It's a short video that I made making this concept for the illustration that I'm making. So I decided to expand on it a bit and actually figure out the design. So I did this little design. Here I put a sticky note to figure out the colors, and then I studied a bit the composition better. This one would be the actual composition, I just didn't go through with it because I love myself a landscape. Here I tried adding more perspective from bottom to top, which is what I had in mind at first, but this is way better. Here I put some notes. Despite the shoes not appearing, I made their design anyways, because I don't know, I'm kind of crazy, I guess. So we're going for this, and with this color palette. So I put this into my drawing program, and we are going to fix up the sketch a bit so that we can go straight into the illustration. I love cinematic compositions, so of course I chose landscape mode because I love myself a little landscape. I don't know, it just makes me feel good. You usually see me drawing in portraits because I love getting out of my comfort zone. I don't like keeping myself in a box. Even though I don't really know anymore what my comfort zone is because I do a lot of things. I don't really know what my comfort zone is anymore, so I don't know when I'm really getting out of it, but sure. With this composition, since she would be on stage, by the way, I'm drawing Delina. If you want more information on her character, I have a community post that talks about it a little bit. And if you ever want more information about my characters, I have my Instagram where I have stories highlighted to my profile where I'm sort of sorting out certain elements from my character stories. Very organized, hopefully. And I'm also planning to make a Tumblr and to figure out my Twitter a bit, and those aren't yet. Instagram is there, okay? Instagram is, it's going. If you want more info, it's there. So, for this to make the whole composition more detailed, I had to keep in mind that she was on stage, so adding things in the front to add depth was kind of complicated, but I did figure it out in the end. Also adding movement, I decided to add movement with wind, of course, to add wind to the bows and petals flowing around, which is a way that I added stuff to the foreground, because usually on stage the main focus is the singer, so they don't add things usually in the front, which they should, because that does give more focus to certain things, but I think it's more complicated since people are surrounding the stage, so I don't know, but there definitely is a way, okay? I'm sure that there is. Also, big skirt with roses underneath it with the underskirt, right? But I decided to deal with that later because here we tackle things one thing at a time. This time I kept in mind that I wanted strawberry milk hair, which in my brain is brown and pink because I always end up thinking chalky milk first and then strawberry, so if I ever mention strawberry milk hair, That's why it's brown and pink. The bow mic, I just straight up, okay, I can't deny it. I just love that bow. That is amazing. For the design, I took my Hello Kitty's 2009 pockets, the heart-shaped ones, and hair bow, while also trying to add the overall straps, look into the corset, and adding lace to the bottom hem. Complicated thing to make it look good. While from the other two, I took the lace on the top part to add it to the corset again. It also was a way to blend in the overall look to the corset and make it look a bit more clean. And from all three of them, I just took the checkered pattern and added it later on onto the pockets and the top bow, but only the bow part, not the things falling off from the bow, the strappy things. I'm so great at explaining myself. Later on, I erased the part of the legs that get covered up. Okay, don't worry. If you see the line there, it's because I was figuring out, will I paint over the illustration or will I, not? I don't know, so I left it there, so I had a choice, and later on I decided that I should erase it, because I won't overpaint the whole thing that much, even though I do render it in an overpainting sort of way, but not the way that I would cover this up. My biggest issue was trying to differentiate each pink part in this illustration, from the pink of the hair, to the pink of the checkered pattern, to the pink of the dress. Everything was very pink, so I had to really keep in mind the values of the illustration, and when I started rendering things, or better saying adding the lighting, things started looking a bit too blurry, so the dress started blending in too much with the underskirt, with the white of the rose part and the frilly parts, so then I added a multiply layer on top of that, and then it started blending in with the hair, and then I had to play around with the opacity, while still keeping in mind that I wanted to look very similar to the idea that I had in my sketchbooks, it's just one, my sketchbook, because I really like the colors there, so I had to really focus to make things not lose the look that I wanted, that I so liked, but also make it coherent in the actual final illustration. Was not easy playing around with one color, let me tell you, especially pink. This might be my pinkest illustration, if we don't count my odd mini 2020 era that lasted like a month, where I drew these things right here, which are some of them, not every single one of them. I don't know what happened. Back then I tended to stick to a very desaturated color palette and usually use analogous colors, which are the three colors that are beside each other on the color wheel. So I was very used to that. And even through 2021, if you followed me during that time, I used very dark desaturated colors, so I'm very used to that. I know how to use those really well because I mostly focus on values more than anything else. Lately I've been using more colorful colors because I just felt like it. It just came to me. And that was a very nice way to actually learn better color theory, despite me knowing pretty well color theory, I'd have to say, but it really put me more into it, more out there. And also this illustration was the proof of that, and I think it turned out really good. The background I made using copyright-free photos I got from Pexels. Remember to always, if you want to use photos for your backgrounds, to use copyright-free photos, not just some random photos you found on Pinterest, because those are taken by photographers and it's their work, while the ones from the free-to-use websites are free to use, as they say. My idea was Delina on stage, with a huge rose pergola surrounding the back, which I made cutting out 2 photos of pergolas and drawing over them, adding posterizing and oil paint filter to make it match the background and the whole illustration, like make it more painterly, then adding Gaussian blur for depth. That's how I made the background, really simple. I also added a stage photo on in the back, just curtains, and made it pink, played around with the levels, right? Fixed some colors up with the levels and color adjustment filters to add a complement of green to the pink, while still keeping everything bright and lively. That's how I made a background, very simple. Very straightforward. This time, guys, guess what? This time I actually organized all my layers and made use of them. Not like last time where I organized all my layers and separated things and then decided not to use that at all and just overpainted everything. This time I actually used it. I missed doing this. I used to do it in Psy, but stopped because Krita made my brain hurt. It's a very complicated program because it's very full of features. And I'm just slowly getting more comfortable with getting like more use out of the program, which is also why I have not updated Krita yet. It's still in 5.1.1. Someday I'll update, maybe now, since I'm pretty much done with everything, so if I lose any file or it gets corrupted, which I hope it doesn't, and it probably won't, but I'm always afraid, it will be fine because I'm done. I added a gradient and shine to the flowing petals in the front, which really added detail and depth to the illustration, together with motion blur. I should do that more often. I tend to just splash the brush on there and I'm like, yep, let's blur that out and it's good. But adding just enough detail, not too much for it to get lost in the blur, but enough for it to show through the blur, it really adds that professionalism to it that I was really seeking out in this. I should do that more often. Let's hope I will. Added some airbrushing to the whole illustration to add softer shadows. To the whole illustration? Did I really add it to the whole illustration? I think I just added it to the character. You get it, okay? I added soft shadows with an airbrush and put the lace down because I tend to forget it. I tend to forget stuff, okay? I tend to forget stuff. And I did not want to do that this time. I know myself, and I know that I always forget certain details, so I wanted to be ahead of my own game this time. So, y'all know, I love starting off with big shadows and then cut out where the light hits, which is what I did. Added big shadow on a multiply layer in pink, because here we've been using pink a lot. Everything's very pink. And then cut out where the light hits, because so nice. And even after just this one step, things were looking really good and oddly detailed. But I wasn't done yet. Oh no. Y'all know, right? I added my colorful overlays just so that I could add one primary light, which is either, in this case, the stage lights or sun, if you think that it is happening during the day, just show. 2, ambient light, which is the environment reflecting light onto the character, which would be the light hitting the leaves of the plants behind her and reflecting onto her. And 3, reflected light, which is light bouncing off the ground and hitting her from below, which would be more pinkish. And also, just adding more colors to the shadows to make it more interesting, because we love colors here, which is odd because back in the day, look, my 2021 self would disagree with me so hard nowadays, because back then I was like, nope, no colors, everything is dark and spooky. Nowadays I'm like, everything is colorful and it looks like I smoked 3 blunts. I'm sorry. In this case, for the whole lightings, I used yellow, green, and pink. Yellow for the stage lights, green for the ambient light, and pink for the reflected light. I don't know how to speak anymore. Anyways, after this, you can start running, aka painting. Woohoo! I love this brush pack, which I still don't know if it comes with Krita or if I downloaded it. I have no idea. Something in me tells me that it's the pink brush that Krita comes with, I think, but I have no idea. But the brushes there are absolutely wonderful. I love them. So I started off with big paints first and then add more details later on, because I tend to get lost in the details, which is also why I opened a smaller view of the canvas to not get lost in everything and be able to keep track of the bigger picture. Down below somewhere, the overview. Love that feature, it's so great. I recommend everyone using that. Fabrics were really fun to paint, especially the bows, because I could just splash down a color and it would look good. Just messy like that, just paint it on. It looked wonderful. I also went back to details in the eyes, which I stopped doing for a while, I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. I love adding colors and reflections to the eyes. I don't really add big shines to the eyes, that's not really my thing. But I love detailing eyes, and I had stopped doing it, so when I got back to it recently, I was very happy. I did that here, and it looks really good. I'm very glad. Also, for this, I kept in mind to make the skin very saturated and lively, which I learned last video with Matcha. So I really tried keeping that in mind. It was kind of complicated when I started rendering the chest area because of how the corset works. I knew how it would work if I was working with desaturated colors, but when I was trying to use saturated ones, it just didn't make sense in my head at first, but I did get around to it and work my way through it. My biggest disgrace and love was, of course, the hair. I love big hair, but it's a pain to render, but also so worth it in the end. And I always do this to myself. But it was good, okay? I just added big splotches, keeping in mind this time the brown, of course. I did not want to lose the brown. Strawberry milk, hair, yeah, brown. And also made stronger highlights to it, which, oh, this brush, ooh, so good with that, so good. I left it a bit messy because I knew that I would go on top of that and do everything better, which at this point I was pretty much done with the base, so now I could add details, more details. I have no idea of what I'm saying, but you will get it. You will understand, okay? So on top of the whole illustration and if you zoom into my layers, you will understand the way I separated each layer. I went to my details groups. That's how it's called in Krita. It's, I don't know what it's called, folders? I don't know, the group parts of details. I went in there and I intensified the lighting more with an overlay layer to make everything match more with the colors, right? And then I started using my beloved metallic brush pack I downloaded for details because I wanted this to be very glittery. I love you, person who made this brush pack. I don't know if you're watching this or if you ever will, but whoever you are, I love you. You made my life better in 150%, and if I ever see you, just know I want to give you a big smooch on the mouth. Unless you don't want it, then I won't. I don't know who made it, I'm so sorry. Grab whatever device you have, whether it is your laptop, notebook, phone, tablet, and just slam it on your face and look at it. This person made amazing brushes. They're so great, especially like I added glittery eyeshadow and it looks good. It looks good, guys. And it's also great to add details. I've been loving using them for absolutely everything. I use them for everything and it's so good. So, when I got my brushes out, with just opening the brush pack there, I started adding lots and lots of fairy strands and textures to add detail around the hair and adding more texture to the cloth just to give the illusion of detail. And the mic, I wanted it to be very glittery. I'm pretty sure I added the checker pattern off camera, but I added that on a multiply layer, and then for the checkered bow, I added a white outline to not blend it in as much into the hair, because that was happening. Everything was looking very, you know. And I painted her nails because I could. Why shouldn't I, right? Since I was adding a bunch of details to this, I might as well. After pretty much everything was done, it was time for the rose underskirt, which is the best part. I fixed up my brush from last video I made and added that in a different color to layer it up with depth and paint over that with a painterly brush to highlight certain petals and blend it in better into its harsher shadows, while also adding better the reflections on the bottom and outlining it better, like making the whole shape look like it's very rosy and layered. I also added glitter to it later, and I do the same thing for the mask. In the end, it looks like the roses took forever, but only took half an hour, which is great for me because I am very lazy and I love cutting corners. So after that, pretty much everything is done. Of course, I went in and fixed some stuff up, like I made the face a bit more reflective and got more focus to it, and some stuff here and there, but pretty much this is done. Here is the finished illustration. I love it so much that I use it as my notebook's lock screen now. It's very professional looking, which I'm so glad to know that I still got it in me. I haven't done like something big and cinematic and in landscape for a while now, and I really miss doing it, and I love doing it, and I should do it more often. I'm so happy with this illustration, and I would love making commissions like this for others. Foreshadowing, foreshadowing. Anyways, I hope you have a nice day and night, and I hope you enjoyed this video, despite me being me. And I hope to see you next time. Bye!